Todd Wilkinson invented winning. And here at Oklahoma, we uphold the standard. This is the Champion Standard Podcast, where analytics meet film and the tailgate fuels the passion. Touchdown! From deep dives in the film room to advanced stats that tell the real story. Ready! We bring Sooner football into focus like never before. The roar of the palace on the prairie, the legacy of champions, and the pursuit of the next one. It's all right here, so lock in, because this is Oklahoma football. This is the Champion Standard.
Let's go! Let's go! Go!
Hey, Sooner fans, welcome back. Happy Sunday. A week before Super Bowl Sunday. Rob and I are here. We got James Hale will be joining us here in a little bit. I think he's wrapping up the OU Texas game, so he'll be joining us here shortly. We're going to dive into a lot of stuff today. OU's AD, new hire, maybe some portal talk, Super Bowl, Porter Moser, all kinds of stuff. So up next here on The Standard.
That's my standard. That's my standard. My champion standard. Champion standard. Pull up with the answers. Yeah, the answers. The champion standard. Champion standard. Yeah. That's my standard.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. Please continue to hit that subscribe and like button as much as possible. We'd appreciate it. Tell all your friends and family about Champion Standard. Appreciate everybody out there supporting us. Yeah, kind of the quiet weekend ahead of Super Bowl weekend. You know, it's always a pause. You might be muted, Rob. I'm not sure, but
thank you.
Yep. I think you made a groan or something, but yeah. James Hale's going to join us. We always try to get James on a few times a year, just to talk everything OU sports. Nobody follows all the OU sports like James does.
Yeah.
And you can find him
check-in,
on,
right?
Yeah.
It's a good check-in.
Exactly.
It's like a pulse on all Sooner athletics all at once.
Yep.
And I think we're good for a good story too. So
we are.
I'm always excited to hear a James Hale OG story.
Exactly. So yeah, he'll join us here in a little bit. You can actually find him. He has a diehard Sooner report. He throws that on Patreon a lot every day. So you can find him there. And I think he still does a radio show up in Tulsa once or twice a week. I think that may be Monday or something. I'll let him remind us of that. Yeah. So
Football Brainiacs too. You can find him, he writes up footballbrainiacs.com. You can find James in there along with Charlie and Kay, who also keep a good pulse on all the sourced info out there.
Yeah.
And a great community too.
Absolutely.
As always.
Absolutely. Yep. Best community out there in my book. Yeah. So some Sooner news this week. I guess we should start off by saying OU has hired their new athletic director / whatever.
Yeah. Chief of operations, I'm assuming, kind of type role,
COO of sorts, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. I forgot his exact
title. I was going to look up what his exact title, like what his
comes from
Director
Illinois.
Of Athletics.
Yeah.
Director of Athletics.
Yeah, there you go. Athletic director, AD. So he was, I believe, the assistant athletic director at Illinois before coming here. So
deputy
AD. Yeah. I always think of a sheriff whenever you say deputy. Yeah. So has a lot of background in collective bargaining, legal. I think there was one other thing. I forgot what the other thing was, but seems like a really good fit with what is needed today. You mentioned it. We still don't know like what everybody's individual roles are. per se between Nagy, Randall Stephenson, and now Denny. You're just like, okay, so what does each one really do?
Yeah, and hopefully James can kind of
And maybe there's a lot of overlap on some of that stuff. I don't know.
sure.
It's not maybe completely defined. Everybody just kind of does whatever to get the job done, right? So yeah, good hire. His background looks solid. Kind of a lesser name than Castiglione 30 years ago. Josie was pretty well known at Missouri at the time when he came over, but
Yeah, yeah. Well, 15 years as in attorney at law, right? And then, yes, he's only been in college athletics for 4.5, 5 years, but he's been in the chaos of college football. It was NIL that went live like 5 years ago. He knows nothing of the old ways of doing anything. He's doing everything the new way. And I think that's what's important, not so much of like history and like a big name. It's more of like
Right.
what he's doing now. And if you look at Illinois, I mean, they are doing good in the Big Ten. And from what has been reported, I mean, they've had season ticket growth, they've had donor growth, they've had NIL growth. I mean, they've seen growth with him on board there since they've brought him on. He's only found success in this very chaotic NIL world. I think that's what makes this hire so good, is because you're bringing in somebody that knows nothing but the chaos and has thrived in it. So I think that's a good sign for OU. But it is interesting on how Stevenson, Denny, and Nagy are all going to kind of coexist. And like, I was kind of surprised he was going to be over football, and I was like, I don't know exactly what that means. He's an athletic director. Football is a sport, so
So I think he'll handle the football side, and I'm guessing he'll hire like some other people to help with the other sports, so he can have a lot more focus on the OU side or the football side. Sorry.
Yeah.
Hey Jimmy, thanks for joining us in the chat. One of our normal.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Yep.
What's up, guys?
The other thing I was thinking of is private equity. He's got some experience in private equity, so of course that's fundraising and whatever, maybe potentially.
I mean, I mean, for 15
facility
years, all he did
development, whatever. Yep.
Yeah.
So
the private equity stuff, the sports businesses, the mergers and acquisitions. I mean, 15 years of like corporate tax law. I mean, that's where like this all is going towards, and you're going to have an athletic director that understands what a collective bargaining agreement is eventually. So it's all future proofing itself as we go along with these new hires.
Yeah. I think seeing his resume, I don't think there'll be anything that gets thrown at him that he can't tackle, basically, is what it boils down to, just looking at his resume. You know what I mean? So pretty excited about that. Also this week, the Board of Regents met and approved all the new salaries for a lot of the coaches and support staff and all that stuff. So, that came out earlier this week. There were some significant raises. Yep. So there's a few that kind of jump off the page a little bit. Todd Bates, about a $300,000 raise, as well as Miguel Chavis, $350,000 raise as well. That's pretty substantial when you're talking, 30% is a pretty big number when you're getting up there close to $1 million.
30% is a pretty, it is. That's an acceleration. That is like throwing some coin, because of like, hey, we like you a lot. You've been successful. That is saying in dollars and cents, we don't want to lose you. We appreciate you. Here is a 30% escalator in performance. So
you have to in this day and age. You can't retain unless you just like the players. NIL is crazy, but sometimes keeping the coaches is just as challenging these days. And I would think another bit of news apparently the Buffalo Bills are pursuing Jay Valai to join them up there as like co-DC cornerbacks coach.
Oh, wow.
So Charlie started reporting that, I think, a couple of days ago, and that seems to be gaining a little traction. I don't think anything.
Oh, wow.
I don't think anything has been formally announced or anything like that, but it feels like that may happen. So that's what happens when you have a great defense. People have eyes on your program.
There's a lot of buzz on it too. Like a lot. Like if you just Google Jay Valai, like everyone from 247 to Oklahoma to the Irish Star. I don't know what the Irish Star is in college football, but they're even reporting Jay Valai in high demand to the Bills. Wow, I didn't. That you got a lot of. I feel like the corner room is just now starting to flip. Like we had some, like our quarterback room play 3-4 years ago was awful. Like it was bad. Like you've had Trey Brown and you've had Jamil Fleming as really the only two guys to get drafted and find success. I might be missing somebody, but I just feel like that corner room is just now with the recruiting, getting the right guys in. You got Eli Bowen, and now you've found a Cortland Guillory. I would hope that we are able to keep Valai, but NFL is a completely different lifestyle. You know, you don't have to worry about recruiting. Yeah. We all know that, but you also are dealing with professional athletes that, you know, take the game seriously. You don't have to worry about their motivation. I mean, that's all really pretty much, you know, it's just about development and keeping the guys focused on the season, a long, grueling 18-week plus season. I really don't know.
Don't mean to interrupt. Is James in the waiting room by chance?
Oh, yeah, he is.
Okay. Yep.
Or let me
send me a message so
James
you can bring James in.
There we go.
Hi guys, how are you?
We're good, James. How are you?
Well, doing well. I mean, I'm doing better than the women's basketball team did. They got behind so far early that they really couldn't get back into the game. When you trail that early against a defensive team like Texas,
right?
And the difference in those two programs are not necessarily the top 6 players. It's the top, you know, OU only has 11 players. Texas has 15 and 15 4- and 5-star players that they spend a lot of money on. OU still doesn't spend a lot of money on their women's basketball team. They don't, you know, I can't even say they spend as much as they do on the men's team. So when I don't think they spend very much money on either team. And but yet Jenny's been able to do pretty well, and they came up with enough to get Reagan Beers to come in, and they got Sahara Williams. But you know, when you look at Sahara as a McDonald's All-American, she's a little undersized at 5'11" to be a forward, right? And so, you know, but you know, OU, she's a warrior for OU, and you know, so this was a tough loss. And then getting Chavez last year took all their NIL money, and OU ended up not even being able to go out in the portal and spend a lot of money when they lost 3 or 4 players in the portal. So Texas runs 12, 15 players out there, and all of them are pretty good athletes. And Harmon's still on this team for the 37th year, it seems like. She's been there forever. And I mean, Sherry Cole recruited her. That's how long ago it was that Harmon's been at Texas. Yeah. And, you know, so it has been, that was a tough loss today, but they battled back. They got back within 7. They only lose by 8 or 10, and
respectable,
you know,
on the road.
And so that shows you a little bit that they can still play better. But they got a week to get ready for Vanderbilt, and they're traveling to Vanderbilt for that game. Vanderbilt's good. They have Blades, who was the best freshman in the league last year. But this team needs to practice, in my opinion, and it will be great for them to get back in the lab and practice for a week before they play their next game.
Right. Yeah. I was telling Rob earlier before we jumped on, I feel like you're busy during football season because football takes up so much time with everything that's going on. But during the spring, I feel like you're covering about a dozen different sports. I
I'm
get
covering every sport, right?
yeah, I get your Patreon email. Some days I'll get like 12. Um, every sport. If you want to know anything about any sport, all you have to do is find James at the Die Hard Sooner Report, and
Well, I
you'll get it.
appreciate that.
No, for
That's
sure.
one thing I'm trying to do with Die Hard Center Report. I am, and I brought a little more of that to the football Brainiacs. I probably don't mention every sport on the Brainiacs, and like my today's report's just going to be on softball for the Brainiacs,
Hmm.
and it's pretty cool that they're going to let me do that. I think when I first came on, they covered nothing but football but Charlie and Kay and the rest of the people that are on this site are true journalists in how they handle things, and they want things covered, and there is an audience for softball, I've been approached by some of the softball sites about doing some stuff for them, but really don't know if I have time because covering OU like I do is a full-time job. And when you want to drop in on a tennis match for a little bit, or you go to the wrestling match on a Friday or Saturday. I mean, I like to have a personal life too. I'm 68, but I'm not dead. And, I like to have a pretty lady with me every once in a while. So,
That's awesome.
I've got friends and,
Yeah.
and so it's, not easy to get to everything. And I've always told people a routine in football because you got the Brent Venables press conference, then you've got a media day. It's a 1 day thing. Then after that, you're studying the opponent. Then you got the game on Saturday, and then I've got stories for the Brainiacs. And so, but I get into a routine. But in the spring, the schedule is just crazy. It's whatever is going on, and there's always things going on in Norman that I can go and watch, or I can follow, or the good thing is everything's on TV now, and everybody, my family laughs at me about how much my TV stuff costs, but I tell them, it's all because of the job. You got to have these streaming services and everything, and so if you want to watch OU do everything, or college sports do everything, or whatever, you've got to spend a little money to do it. So, that's kind of how life is. But yeah, I always tell people my life does not slow down in the spring. And then when spring football starts, it's incredibly busy because football is again at the top of the forefront. Even though we have baseball and softball going on, everybody wants to know what's going on in spring football.
Sure. Yeah. So, like a tennis match this time of year, do they play outside when it's like
No,
20
they play
degrees?
indoors.
Okay.
The
I was
Hennington
like,
family,
what the heck?
You,
I didn't
you
know
got-
they had an indoor facility.
Yeah, where do you guys live at? Do you guys live in Norman where you can get
I'm in
down very
Yukon,
often?
Rob south of
Oh.
Norman. Yep.
Okay, Rob, have you ever been to the Hennington Family Tennis Center?
I have not. No.
Okay, well, just go out there and you'll be impressed. It's an indoor facility. They have an outdoor. They have 6 courts
Nice.
indoors, 6 courts
Okay.
outdoor.
Wow.
And they usually have some things going on. Gosh, I've been out there before where they've had free hot dogs or free pizza.
Heck yeah.
Like if you went to gymnastics today, and I didn't because I watched basketball, but I like to go to the McCaslin Fieldhouse. If you go to the McCaslin Fieldhouse, the wrestling team, but today you could have got a free OU beanie. You could have you could have sat in a fire truck or a tow truck, and maybe you've never done that before. That's pretty cool for some people.
Yeah, Rob's got a little dude that would love that.
Oh, he would have loved that. Right.
Yeah.
And so, and and attendance is always a major fight for everything but football and softball. Baseball too, but more and more people are showing up to baseball. And now that the Kimrys have stepped up and donated enough, and people have followed suit with enough donations, they can start refurbishing the baseball stadium. Because if you've watched very much SEC baseball, all the stadiums in this conference are incredible, and people are spending assets and resources for baseball. So the main sports in the SEC, it looks like to me, are football, men's and women's basketball, because both those leagues are good in this conference, and baseball and softball. Gymnastics too on the women's side.
Right.
The teams are spending some money there. And, I guess that would be it. I don't, swimming's not really that, OU's not in swimming, and rowing is, OU's not in the SEC. Wrestling, they're not in the SEC. Track and field, everybody spends some resources because you have to spend so much money on scholarships to have a team. And OU's really good in men's track and field this year. They're ranked 6th in the country. And in women's, they're like 16th, but they have a couple of athletes that could make Olympic teams. And so when you're watching Olympic athletes, like they've got a meet coming up on Friday, which anybody can go to. It's at the Moser Indoor Facility. And that's another place where, concessions, or you can bring your own food or whatever. And, and so you can just kind of have a good time there. So it's, everybody has to make a decision. You can go to something almost every day if you want to.
That's right. Yeah, no, that's another reason I like having you on, because Rob and I don't cover, the other spring sports like we should. So I didn't know there was a Headington indoor tennis facility. So that's news to me. And that's nice to hear. But I did have 3 or 4 things I wanted to get your opinion on today. And
Okay.
You're gonna have to let us know how much time we have with you.
Let's roll. Let's go.
All right. So thoughts on the new AD hire, Roger Denny? You have an opinion? Yep.
Well, I think when you look at college football today, and OU is always, one thing I've liked about Joe Castiglione as the athletic director. He's been somewhat of a humble athletic director in that he has always said that to stay ahead of the game, I've got to evolve, and I've got to continually evolve. And, when they went and got a front office, and they went out and hired Randall Stephenson to come in and help put together the front office. See, that's a major development that may take away a little power from Joe. And think about that. Now, Joe's so confident in his own skin, he knows who's still running things. And President Harroz is not going to do anything to diminish Joe Castiglione's role at OU. But still, he had to look at it, and he had to say, as we battle all these new things in college football, all the new dimensions, how are we going to cover that? He said, because I'm not a corporate lawyer, or I'm not, an economist or whatever. I'm pretty good at everything, and I understand. I've seen enough contracts, I know. And Larry Nafee is an attorney, and he's good at what he does. He's the associate AD at OU that's going to retire with Joe in June, I think. I kind of think Nafee will hang around forever, but he may not. And he may say he's going to retire and still have an office and show up every day is what I think.
Right,
and Joe too. Joe's actually going to stay until 2028. But and so they went out, and so when they put together this committee and they realized what you have to have in the NIL world, the transfer portal world. We're getting ready to have contracts on players. We already do, right? And we already have lawsuits across the country. That when they set out to look for somebody, Roger actually checks a lot of those boxes. Now, what has been Joe's strengths? Joe has been a futurist. He's been able to see in the future. He's been able to gauge the best path to take OU so they'll remain competitive in the future. The secret move to the SEC, which nobody knew about. He and President Harroz, went and approached the SEC about it. Everybody kept it down low. When it did finally break, was about a year when everything had kind of been voted on and OU was going to be in, along with Texas. By that time, OU, they weren't quite okay with it. Okay, let's go ahead and announce it. Let's go ahead and go. But that's a move that made OU solve it. When President Harroz said, if we didn't make this move, we wouldn't have been able to stay self-sufficient. That hit me right in the face, man.
Yep.
Because ever since I've been involved with OU in the mid-'70s, OU has been a self-sufficient athletic department. They've never asked for state money. And when you do that, when you have to rely on that money, that's not a good thing if you want to stay independent and operate the way you want to operate. And so Joe has been that. He's been a great leader of the coaching staffs and the student bodies. Joe shows up at events. He goes on road trips with each sport at least once, sometimes twice. He is a guy that they can all call. Students can call Joe and he'll call them back. And, you know, if they have a complaint, he will listen to what those complaints are. When Patty Gasso started winning, and at first they had to build Marita Hines Field, and that was a so much better facility than Reeves Park. I mean, I play slow pitch softball on Reeves Park. Come on. That's not where, you know, a great softball, fast pitch softball team should be playing, right? And she wasn't kidding when they were first playing over there. And the first thing they had to do was take 45 minutes and pick up the diapers and the beer bottles and everything else, and, you know, and clean it all up and then rake the infield and hope they don't have holes in the outfield. And, you know, and so, you know, she's not kidding. You know, it was, you know, and yet, you know, Norman, the city of Norman does pretty well with those fields. And so I'm being a little facetious, but not the cleaning. I mean, the picking up the bottles and the dirty diapers and things, that's a reality. You know, the fields were in pretty good condition though. So anyway, building Marita Hines Stadium was a must. And then when they did that, OU started taking off, right? She started recruiting better. You know, she started getting better teams in. When she had Jennifer Stewart and Ashley Barrett in that 2000 team. That team won the first national title. You know, then it took them another 12 years or so to get Lauren Chamberlain and Kalani Ricketts into the program. And they did all that on the back of Marita Hines Stadium. And now that was a tough stadium for fans. I mean, there was no sunshade, you know, so when the sun came out, you burned up.
Right.
You know, they had to put portable seating up and other things. But they did everything they could. But Patty flourished in that era because Patty is really good. All right. But Joe listened to her. Joe listened to the players. What do we need? You know, building the clubhouse and building the locker room and things like that. They didn't even have some of this stuff when they first built the facility. So they had to raise money to do all these things. And so he does listens to all the sports and he does try to find out, because in Joe's mind, if I can do anything, even if it's just to give the rowing team a better way to get to a meet, maybe they'll compete better. Maybe they'll win one more race. And that's what he's trying to do. All right, here comes Roger Denny. And Denny does come across a little bit to me as an attorney. That's what he was, right?
Right. Yeah.
He was one of the fastest rising attorneys that we've had. And that, you know, for his age group, with the group that he was with. And he was great at it. They kept promoting him. They made him a partner. I mean, you know, he did everything he could do in that film, but he didn't feel attached. And I could see that, you know, when you're just looking at contracts, negotiating contracts, that can become kind of a plastic shell world, even though he's got a wife and he's got kids, but, you know, he's constantly doing this, but it didn't fulfill him. I don't think Joe Castiglione would have stayed in his job if he couldn't be around the athletes and couldn't be supporting them, couldn't show up at practice every once in a while. And, you know, one of the girls, you know, picks up a glove and says, hey, you know, there's nobody else to play catch. You want to play catch? You know, so she can get loose. Well, Joe did that. You know, Joe was out there. He was out there everywhere. We'll see if Roger can do that. But Roger, that's why he got out of the corporate world where he did all the things that seems to match up with athletics today. You know, the negotiation of contracts, the negotiation of media rights, helping to build facilities, raising the funds. He raised $100,000, hiring a football coach. He assisted in that, but he did the contracts for the football coach and the basketball coaches. And so he kind of got to understand all this. And he did that once he got to the University of Illinois. I thought it was interesting when he said, I had to have a leap of faith, and my wife and my boys had to be with me because I was leaving a very, he didn't say lucrative, but he said we were very comfortable is what he said. Well, if you're a partner in one of the top 15 law firms in the country, it's lucrative, right? So I'm thinking, yeah, he left quite a bit of money probably. and went to Illinois, and he's probably not making anywhere close to that. But he said it renewed his passion about his professional life, and that he was around kids and he was around college life, and his family was having a good time. They're going to Illinois stuff and football games and basketball and running around the baseball stadium. You know, they're doing cool things. And so we'll see if he's as personable as Joe. That's hard to do. I mean, Joe's a rare guy that you can call and he'll call you back, and he'll try to work with you. Is he going to be as good with the media as Joe was? I don't know. We'll see. It's you can do both. You can be both people. He's been out at the basketball games, both women's and the men's games, and he and his family seem to be engaged in the game. It looked like to me, maybe he didn't, but he was standing up yelling at an official one time. It looked like it to me.
Heck yeah.
Maybe he didn't
I
do
like that.
But I was
I like
saying,
that.
okay, because it looked like it, he was kind of pointing out there. Now, he might have been pointing at Chavez to keep shooting or something. I don't know, but I mean, it was one, it was something like that. So anyway, I like the hire on the surface. When you do a deep dive and you look at it, it looks like to me it's exactly what OU needs at this time. And when you put Randall Stephenson and the group, Jake Youngblood, or to have those guys deal with the standards of the NIL and the contracts and the things that you have to deal with in the future, they probably did find the right guy. And he was working as an athletic director, so he's not a Hollywood guy, or he's not a NFL guy, or he's not a business leader. He's an athletic director that's been around athletics in the ever-changing world of athletics, and he thinks he has an idea where it's going, and he thinks he knows how to navigate OU to that. So we'll have to see how it goes.
Yeah, Rob and I were talking, does Denny, Stephenson, and Nagy all have like clear lanes that they operate in, or do they kind of overlap roles? It's kind of hard to define some of that these days.
I don't think Denny is going to run the nuts and bolts football program. I think he's going to take care of the external stuff with the program. I'm talking about the finances, raising the money for it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Jim Nagy, they're evaluating athletes, high school athletes. He's got a group of guys that work on that. He's got a group of guys that's continually to evaluate the transfer portal. And so now Nagy does, at the end of the year, evaluate the football coaches. And he does give them a written report, or he calls them into his office or whatever, on here's how I think you're doing. That includes Brent Venables. I don't think Jim Nagy is going to make the decision on if Brent has 2 losing seasons. If Brent's going to make the decision, I still think that's going to be Denny's decision. Randall Stephenson, I still think is going to have a part of that, and maybe Jim Nagy will too. I don't know. I've never got it from the coaches or Brent that they feel like they're working for Jim Nagy, and his decision on them is the most important thing in their life right now. I mean, how do they impress him? I never got that impression. All they talk about is how he and his group are helping them, because they no longer have to do the evaluation and recruiting. They just kind of get told where to go, or they sign off on an offensive lineman. And so instead of having 500 they're looking at, they're really getting the top 15 that they're going to go look at.
Okay.
And that's the biggest deal there. So I think they do have all their own lanes. Yep. Now, who makes the final decisions on coaching changes? Robert Denny will, I think, in all the sports, in my opinion. I think Jim Nagy will have an opinion in football. Randall Stephenson will. And I think that Denny will ask everybody else's opinion about Porter Moser and any other coach on the OU roster, coaching roster. But I think Roger Denny handles everything within the within the athletic program at OU. I think in football, he's got a little more assistance where he will call upon and ask some people things. But, Brent Venables still has his lane as he's running the football part of the football program, practice schedules, how to mold the roster, what I want my strength and conditioning program to do, who's going to be the strength and conditioning coach. All right, Smitty doesn't want that grind anymore. All right, let's find a position for Smitty. Well, they do. He's now Brent's right-hand man. You guys know the story of Port Robertson at OU? Okay,
No.
Port Robertson.
That's why we bring you on, James. You're a storyteller.
Port Robertson was a guy.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Port Robertson was a guy he was a wrestling coach before Stan Abel. He was a wrestling coach in the 50s and won 3 national championships and had several athletes win national titles. When he wanted to retire from wrestling, they basically made him the sergeant of arms within the athletic department. And so if you ever screwed up, if you missed class or you mouthed off or you did something you weren't supposed to, you went to see Port. If you talk to the Steve Zabels of the world, and the late, great Jack Mildren was still here, but if you go find Steve Owens and Tinker Owens and you ask them about Port Robertson, they'll tell you horror stories of having to go see him, and he would run them till they puked, or he would have them up, or do something, and, he would just scare the heck out of you. So when I came to school there, he was still there, and I didn't play sports. I was just a media guy, and I was scared of him. Everybody was scared of him. You couldn't. Well, all right, here comes Smitty. Smitty's been the guy the guys hated during summer, but they loved him during the school year because he was the best cheerleader, guy that rooted for him, stretched him. If they had a problem, they called Smitty. Smitty would help them solve it. So it's kind of a love-hate relationship with him, but they knew they had a buddy in Smitty in some respects, and there was no better buddy during the football season, and they were in shape to play. But Smitty in this role will be Port Robertson. Now Smitty will still deal with athletes, but he's not going to be out for the grind every day, the 6 o'clock morning workouts anymore. I asked him, I said, "Are you going to wear a coat and tie?" He said, "Nah." He goes, "Brent doesn't wear a coat and tie. Brent's in sweats or shorts and a sweatshirt." He goes, I go, "Do you get to wear that?" He goes, "Yeah, I'm in the same office, or I'm right next to him." So anyway, that's kind of what he's going to be doing. But he's going to be the Port Robertson. But if you ask the Jackie Ships of the world, the Thomas Bensons of the world, go ask Coach Switzer someday how Port Robertson helped him mold his football teams. That's some good stuff. It really is.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's nice having a guy like that to, I don't
know how many programs have it. Maybe they do. And maybe everybody has a Port Robertson and now a Jerry Smith. I don't know. But I know OU does. So
yeah, no, that's awesome. That's perfect for him, to just kind of step back in a role. And, I know he was going to retire in a few years or whatever. It's a good time for him to kind of phase out slowly or whatever. But, you mentioned some of the coaching staff. So we couldn't get on here and not talk about the Porter Moser situation. Another second half collapse yesterday. They're 1-8 in conference, 8-game losing streak. Just seem to find every way to, lose a game with the final 5 minutes or whatever. So your thoughts, are we just sitting here waiting on the inevitable at this point?
Well, yeah, probably. I mean,
I know it's a touchy situation too. It's one of those things where and everybody likes
I'm not
Porter.
One of these guys. I've heard some media that are making comments about it don't even cover the team. I don't think they should comment about it. I don't care if you're doing a talk show. You don't cover the team. I cover the team every day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm out there every day. Every time they have a media op, I'm there. I like Porter Moser. I can't figure out why he's not winning. he's a good X's and O's coach. So why doesn't the offense work better? I don't
Yeah.
know. Why in the last 5 minutes, all they do is seem to dribble around the point guard and he
Yeah.
relies so much on one-on-one play. Why aren't there screens where, Nigel Pack's coming off that screen and getting a 3 off? I don't know. Why isn't all those things working better? I don't know.
Right.
Because everybody I talk to, every other coach I talk to tells me how great Porter Moser is. Porter Moser won't have any problems getting a job, even if it's as an assistant coach working for somebody. He's gonna go get a job.
Yeah.
And so, and Porter wants to be here. So here comes a new AD that built a winning program at Illinois. I mean, when they got Underwood to come in from Oklahoma State,
Right.
it was Denny that set up the contract for him, and that contract states that he can't take another job in NCAA basketball without paying them a big penalty. So he got Underwood to agree to that. Now he's paying him a good salary and everything, and they've won 3 Big Ten championships. So, here we are. Porter's not winning. You've got media claiming that he should be fired. Well, they're doing the right thing, not letting him go during midseason. That doesn't solve anything. That doesn't help anything. It doesn't help you to get moving in the right direction or anything. So I think it's the right way to go. At the end of the year, it's depending on how they close it out, because Roger Denny's in a tough spot here. Now the buyout is not going to be that significant, even though OU lost $47 million in 2024, where they came up short with $47 million because they didn't get a full payment from the SEC. This year they will, so they'll make some of that up. And OU expected some kind of shortfall, so they made up for it in other ways and things like that, But I don't know. It just seems like that when you have a new AD, most of the time they do what? When they have a situation like this, they want to start over. They want to build their own program. They want their own guy in there. And Roger could do that here. His comment about Moser and Porter was at the ceremony when they introduced Denny. And the first coach he talked to in the morning during a phone call before the Zoom was Porter Moser. And, when he said, I'm going to dig in with Porter and we're going to figure this thing out. Well, okay. Now here's what we do know about the basketball programs at OU. You can go bring in John Wooden in today's game. And if you're not going to put money in the program and you're going to be 15th in the SEC, you're probably going to be 15th on the court.
That's right.
Jenny Baranchek's a really good court. Coach, Texas spends $7 million more on their women's basketball program than OU does.
Wow, that's a lot.
Well, you saw the game today, right?
Yeah.
They had 15 Scorpions. Jenny has 7 or 8.
Yeah.
So how do you want to play the game? Fans don't come to the games. They said there was 9,000 fans at the OU Texas game. Maybe, I think there was about 7,000. But the crowd in the Lloyd Noble Center, you can get loud. There were 4,500 at the last women's game, and it sounded like there were a bunch more people in there. The arena is loud, and if they ever build a new arena, I just hope they have the same acoustics. I hope it does get loud in there. So, but if you're going to have a basketball program, the first thing you have to ask, doesn't matter who the coach is, are you going to put money in this day and age? And so when he said at the very beginning, when he was asked about this, he said, well, we have to understand basketball is a rev share sport. In other words, revenue sharing. How are you going to support the team in this day and age? Well, you got to put money in the program. And if you don't, or you don't have the money to put in the program, you can't expect it to be amazing. Now, everybody thinks Porter Moser should win games. You don't talk to John Calipari or anybody without them don't thinking he should win games, and he's not. And so he got hit with a new way we're playing basketball, and things still aren't adjusting for him. I thought last year they had broke through with the team that made it to the NCAA tournament. Jeremy Fears came in. That was a godsend that they got him. That transformed that team. And but then, on paper, this is Porter's most athletic team.
Right.
He's got a basketball team. He's got 3 guys at center, 6'10" or bigger. He's never had that. He's got power forwards, 6'9", and he can come in with a 6'10" guy to play there. He's got Nigel Pack, a 2,000-point scorer. He's got Xavier Brown, that's a coach's son, that was a starting guard as a freshman and looks like he's an NBA player. It's like, why aren't they winning? Why are they not executing down the stretch? I don't know, but it's probably going to force OU to make a change. And I don't know if that will really happen or not. I hope it doesn't, but if it does, he's got a McDonald's All-American in the recruiting class. He recruited a McDonald's All-American last year, a 5-star guy. Dayton Forsythe, I think he should have played more in the game Saturday. So I'm not trying to avoid your question. I don't know how Roger Denny's going to handle this. Everything is lining up that you think he will make a change, but he may be one of those guys that says, all right, look, I want to try something different with you, and I'm going to give you 1 year to see what you do with it. I don't know if he will or not, because let's say he brings in Brad Underwood from Illinois, or is the OU basketball fan going to show up before January 15th?
Right.
No, they're not. They haven't. We've had Blake Griffin, we've had Buddy Hield, we've had Trae Young, and still didn't sell out the Lloyd Noble until about January 15th. So I don't know. It's an interesting question with me. And when I'm putting out on social media all the time, nobody's at this game. And there's only 6 media guys there. So, it's kind of like, do we really want to get serious about this program or not? I don't know.
Right. And, they're 1-8 losing games, but it doesn't appear the players have
they haven't
given up. You know what I mean? You can notice that sometimes players will just you can tell when they're done. And that's not what I see. I just see a lack of execution down the stretch. And I don't know where to point the finger.
Well, Nigel Pack was great after the game. Nigel Pack said, look, he goes, we're going to figure this out. He goes, we're close. He goes, we've got to figure out how to close the game. We've got to figure out a way that we can run our offense. And whatever we're going to do in that offense in that final 3 minutes, we got to do it. We got to execute it. And we can't worry about who's going to take the shot. Whoever it is, shoot it. And shoot it, okay. Shoot it like you mean to make it. If he's not a coach, I don't know who's going to be. His final basketball days are here. They all thought they had an NCAA tournament team. And here they are, and they're probably not going to get there. And, but they're not giving up.
Right.
He said, hey, we're going to go back to practice. We're going to break this thing. And when we break through, we're going to be held for people. Well, okay. Well, they should have broke through against Texas. I didn't think Texas was very good, and they didn't. And that's a frustrating loss. Right. Alabama, Arkansas, both those games are winnable. You don't win them, and so then you're going to play Kentucky on Wednesday.
Kentucky and Vandy this week.
Right, right, and Vanderbilt too. So, it's just, but the players have not quit. And I think the players like playing with one another. I think they like one another. And so there is some joy in them playing the game, but it's got to be depressing never winning a game. And I think Daria Reed hardly said a word, and Nigel Pack you can tell Nigel's been through a few games. He's been through a few situations.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said what you said right there at the end, because I have to find ways to compare. You're always comparing team to something else, and unfortunately, I'll compare them to the Thunder. And this is a bad comparison because it's a professional sports team, but the Thunder are the opposite of what we've just said. They do like each other. When they are in the game, everybody's empowered to,
Play a role.
there's no fear. Like, no one is scared to take a shot. They're all confident to take a shot when the ball's in their hand. You don't see that with this team. So that's what I want to see more of, just a confident team on the court that knows how to win games in the last 5 or 10 minutes.
Well, remember the Thunder lost before they got to this point.
I know.
And now Porter's lost for 3 years, but he's always changing teams.
Right.
And they don't have the NIL money to hold rosters.
Mm-hmm.
Jalen Hill, the whole year before Jalen left, Porter is bragging up that Jalen Hill is the perfect Sooner. He's a diehard Sooner, first guy on the court, last guy to leave. He'll mop the floor if you want him to. And then Jalen goes to him, and they're talking NIL money, and OU was going to give him a pretty healthy NIL money to come back for his last year. But he got a major offer to go play for Kevin Kruger, Lon's son, at UNLV at the time?
Right. Yep.
And they offered him, they blew the offer away out of the water. OU couldn't come close, or they weren't willing to come close to matching it for a player that probably is not going to play in the NBA. But that's what Jalen was doing. He was trying to get one last big payday so that, that they could get some things going. And he left for UNLV. That's what Porter's dealing with on an everyday basis. And so when he's having to rebuild the team, he can't do it like the Thunder did, that they would, go ahead and, get, Case and Wallace, and, then they get Mitchell, and then they make one trade for Hartenstein. He can't do that. He's constantly rebuilding his team. And again, on paper, this looked like the best team out there, and or the best team that he's had, and it's not working out.
Right. Kind of one last question, and Rob, if you have one, jump in. Don't let me hoard the show or whatever. But Nagy and his staff's been here, creeping up on a year pretty soon. What's your first year impressions with that group?
Very good. They do a great job. I mean, I deal with some of them, so I know that they're very good at what they do. So it's been a process of putting in this process and getting everybody used to it. So and Nagy lets us in on it every once in a while. He talked about how if they can't decide on a player, let's say that they take a player to the coach and the coach says, I don't like him. If you guys, I would have never recommended him to you guys. I don't think this guy's a player for us. If the front office takes it back and they go, we really do like this guy, man. They take it to him again. He says, I don't like it. Then they'll have a meeting. They'll bring in all the coaches and they'll all look at it. If they still can't come to a conclusion on the player, they'll just move on from the player, because there's 3,000 players out there and we don't have to be held up on one player. We can go find another one. All right. That's just an example of how everybody's getting used to this. And Nagy's getting used to the front office on the college level, and they're putting on this all together. Well, I thought they saved the 26 recruiting class. They were getting hammered. Everybody at first hammered Brent that he was going to get fired and these coaches weren't going to be there. Well, when that didn't become, and then when they made the college football playoff, recruiting picked up. They had the great December. They had the great early signing day. They ended up with the 14th best class or 13th in the country, something like that. And so it ended up being a lot better. And then I thought they would have a good transfer portal class, and they have. They've been able to solve some problems. They get 2 starters at receiver. They get tight ends in the program that looks like they're going to help. They don't need a quarterback, but for Ben Arbuckle to go get Bo Bentley, a guy that he liked, even though they had a quarterback committed,
right?
They went and got Bo, and he liked him better. That's who they end up with. And now you don't have to spend money in the transfer portal because you've been able to retain Mateer. So I think that they've done a great job in the 227 class. Is number one in the country right now. And they just got the number one running back, or one of the top running backs, for 228.
Yep.
So Nagy told us this is what would happen. He goes, look, we're going to ride this momentum from being in the college football playoff. He goes, every piece of material we send out, we get to put that logo on the OU material that we send to every recruit, college football playoff member or college football playoff participant, whatever it is, and they get to send that out. Well, that's a big boost to what they're doing. He's always thinking about that. And so I think his staff is really, really good. And they had to make some tough decisions. They never officially announced that Joe John Finley was let go. And all of a sudden, they did announce that Jason Witten was being hired. So, that's kind of interesting. And now you got the situation with Jay Valai. That will come down to what life does Jay Valai want to live?
Sure.
Right.
If he wants to coach in the National Football League, okay, that's the life you're going to be in. And every 2 or 3 years, or if you're fortunate enough to be with a team that's there 5 or 6 years, or the coach is, you're good with that coach, more than likely. But look how many coaching changes have been made, even with teams that have been in the playoffs. Right? I mean, the Buffalo Bills, right? And so everybody's been shuffling around. Coaches are getting fired.
Yep.
Coaches that Philadelphia is changing coordinators again.
It was like a third of the league. A third of the league got fired.
Yeah,
right.
That's 10.
That's
10
my point.
of the. That's a lot of turnover in one year. I mean, it's not like he could stay at OU and as long as he does well, which he's done well, he can be here for as long as BV is. It's a lot of I would be leaning a little bit more on job security but the Bills have invested in their cornerback room a lot. I mean, they've drafted first round picks and everything. So he would be walking into a situation where he would have good players. But you make a good point. The job security would be a good selling point for OU.
Well, it's just a different life. You're on a college campus. You live in a college town. He and his wife and his kids are flourishing. Everybody's doing well. You guys seen Jay? He's a fitness freak, and he looks good, and he sounds good. His wife's beautiful. Everything is good, right? All right. In the NFL, well, you can do things, but you're in a city. You're in a different environment. You're in a different lifestyle. You're no longer on a college campus. And it's just a different life. It just is. You're not recruiting anymore, but you don't get vacations. It's not like you're not working as hard. You're probably working harder because you don't take vacations when you're in the NFL. You're constantly working. And when they do bring a free agent on campus, if it's your position, you got to be there. And but it's just a totally different life. And so if I think probably Jay's been offered this job, or it's been close and he's talking to OU about it. And he's got to make a decision. Do you want to be in the pro game, which is you are working with the greatest players in the world, or do you want to stay in the college game? And so, if he stays, that would be great. And I saw that the question or the tweet for you guys. There has been a long history. Every year it seems like somebody or Jay's name is out there. Is that because the media puts it out there, or has that been the reality? I say it's more been media driven, but this is more reality. This is reality. The Buffalo Bills are talking to him. Whether or not they've actually offered him, I think I don't know. I think there's probably has been an offer, or there's been some money talked. And he's talking to OU about it. If OU can match it or raise it or get close to it, I don't think he's going to go anywhere. Jay's told me before that he wants to be a coordinator. Well, that's blocked at OU. But he's not going to be a quarterback with the Bills. No. And everybody was talking about Notre Dame. Notre Dame never offered him. And he wasn't going to be a quarterback at Notre Dame either. I mean, a quarterback, a defensive coordinator.
Yeah, DC. Yeah.
With them. And so I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what Jay does.
Yeah,
It won't
and-
because it's not because he wants to leave or he's looking to leave. He has to decide, is this an opportunity that betters my career? Is what he's got to decide.
Right. And he'd be going, Bill's Mafia fan base is great. And
Oh, they're wild.
Rob's partial to
I
the
know.
Chiefs Kingdom. But the Bills Mafia, everybody knows about them. They're extremely passionate, haven't had a Super Bowl and just starved for a Super Bowl, much like some other cities that have never had one. For Jay, it may just come down. He may not want to dig out of 3 or 4 foot snow drifts.
So, yeah. maybe.
Right?
You know what
No.
I mean? Do you want to live in that 6 months out of the year, or whatever it is?
He'd turn it into a workout, believe me.
I know.
He'd be able to afford somebody to shovel his driveway. So
He would look outside and be like, "Yeah, snow's getting ready to be taken down right now."
I got to go to work. I got to get there before the snow hits.
Yeah.
And the question on like the lifestyle, one coach that I remember, Jerry Montgomery, just wanted to get to the NFL, and he had that opportunity to work with Dom Capers.
Good example. Yep.
He made that move because he wanted that lifestyle.
He sure did.
And so maybe it's just an ambition.
And he's been in that he's been in the NFL ever since.
Yes.
But that's what happens. You get into the carousel, the coaching carousel. If let's say Jay has 2 good years, but then the 3rd year they get toasted and they don't cover well, or a bunch of guys get hurt and whatever, and the defensive coordinator feels pressure, and so Jay, we got to make a change just because we have to. What?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now in the NFL, all the contracts are guaranteed, so if you always have a multiple year contract, you're good. But there you are, you're packing up and you're moving. They've been at Norman for a while, the Valais have. And their kids are in school here. And there's a lot to like about what they're doing. Now, again, he's not going to be the coordinator, but he's the co-coordinator, or he's the assistant coordinator. And it's not like Brent is not using he and B. Hall and Todd Bates and Michael Chavez to help put together the game plan. Now, Brent's the final say on the game plan, and Brent's calling the game. But Brent's told me before that he'll have guys, or he'll ask Valai, what do you want to cover here? You guys want to cover zone? Because I've got 2 calls I want to make here. And Valai will quickly say, I want to do this.
Yeah, that's
then Brent makes the call based on that. So it's not like he's not excluding or he's not including people. But I don't know, you guys. I mean, this is going to be a tough decision. It's a lifestyle change, though, if he wants to do it.
Sure. And we can't retain these guys forever. Anytime you have a side of the ball that everybody takes notice, we didn't expect to keep these guys around as long as some of them have been here. So,
well, I think, in the old days, I would disagree with you. I mean, Switzer had coaches with him for his entire time he was there. So you can, but in this day and age, we're just used to everybody moving. We're used to guys only stay in a short time. Not many things are long term, but look at Iowa and what they do, and how many coaches that have been with, there, and and so there's been certain jobs that it's different, but I don't know if you would consider Iowa a big winner either. So Oklahoma's got to be a big winner, and they've got to do whatever it takes to be a big winner. But I don't think Brent looks at it and says, I've got to upgrade my coaching staff. I think he feels like he's got a great coaching staff, and he's going to let the natural order of nature take its place. Joe John Finley's out. They upgrade with Jason Witten. That looks like an upgrade to me, as much as I love Joe John, and I do. Covered Joe John. He was a great player. He was a cool guy. He's got a cool family. He's probably going to go to Mississippi State. I don't know exactly what he's going to do there. But Jason Witten looks like it's a pretty good upgrade. So I don't know. We'll see. Defensively, he had to make a change. He had to bring in a linebacker coach. Brent did 2 years ago, and he had to make a decision. Do I want to go back and calling the game? And everybody was beating him up on it. Beating him up, oh, you need to concentrate on being a head coach. You're not even really doing everything great as a head coach. You need to be this or that. And he's going, yeah, but I'm great as a coordinator. And if I'm great as a coordinator, that's going to make the head coach, Brent Venables, a better coach because my defense is going to be great. That means we're going to win more games and everybody's going to love Brent Venables, the head coach. Right. And Brent jokes around a little bit sometimes. Well, at least if I want to call a timeout on defense, I don't have to ask anybody. I just call it. Well, I thought that was funny. I mean, it just cracked me up when he told me that. He goes, well, I just call it, right. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. And what's anybody going to say to him? Coach, why'd you do that? Because I wanted to. It's my group out here and they're getting, they just picked up 3 first downs and I want a timeout. Yeah. So anyway, it's, but I think defensively, he's got some guys that he's hopes stays around. And, and he's got guys waiting in the wings. And so we'll see what happens with Jay. I know this tugs on Jay. Jay wants to be a head coach. How does he get there? Can he get there as a cornerback coach? Oh, we're seeing some unique hires all the time, right? So sure. I don't know. Jay's name is pretty solid out there in college coaching. When Jay Valai shows up at a camp, let's say at the OU camp, corners come to work out with Jay Valai because people know Jay Valai is a good cornerback coach. So if he's at any other camps or if he does some kind of charity, people show up because they know he's a good coach. And so I don't know. It's going to be an interesting hire to see what he does or see what interesting move. And it would be just as interesting if he stays and doesn't go anywhere.
Right.
He's got such a unique energy about him. The emphasis to the details and everything, and the way that he's constantly working, whether it's on himself or with his players. I think he just the players just gravitate to his love of the game and just the way that he breaks down all the different, phases of a cornerback's responsibility. I think he's I've been surprised in I agree with some of the comments that he has stayed. But I think we gotta hope that we keep him. I really don't want to have to change quarterbacks coach in February. So I'll be waiting and hoping that he stays in Norman, in the community and on the team.
Well, he's recruiting so well, and there's so many good things going. And,
exactly.
And look, Cortland Guillory was really good. Eli Bowen off all that time, and Eli played well. Yep. Jacoby Johnson was better this year. Guys are getting better. Gentry Williams, when he played, was great. And so Day Jordan was really good. I mean, I think Jay's he's growing within his own framework, and I think he's become a really good coach.
Right. Yeah. Right. It doesn't hurt that the guy still looks like he can put on a jersey.
That's what I mean. He's a fitness freak, man.
He is.
Yeah.
I think players feed off of that sometimes as well. But
they do, especially when he can still play with them, right?
Yep, exactly. James, I don't have any other questions, man. I really appreciate you coming on today. Every time for that matter. Rob and I just like to sit here and feel like we're getting stories told to us and getting enlightened with the tennis facility and everything else is wonderful. So
Rob, you need to go to some stuff, man. Take your little one and a lot of times they'll have a free hot dog for him, or free slice of pizza. So
yeah,
we'll do.
All right, guys. Well, I enjoyed it. Thanks. And anytime you need me, let me know. And I'm sorry it's a little late, but
no, you're good.
Screaming at the TV and is SEC officiating. Before we got into this league, we always heard it was terrible.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it is terrible. It is terrible.
It is.
Harmon is moving on that play, and was it Sahara Williams ran into her, or was it Chavez? I'm trying to remember, but she's moving. And, you know, the announcer's going, well, that's a good call. I'm going, it's not. She's moving. When
She was
have you been
moving.
able to move and get a charge call?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
No, I'm with you.
anyway, there's all kinds of calls like that all the time.
And hey, everybody, you can find James on the Die Hard Sooner Report on Patreon. And remind me, Sports Animal Tulsa or
I'm
not
on Sports Animal Tulsa every
Yep.
Tuesday at 10:45.
Every Tuesday.
And I'm
Thank you.
on Oklahoma City Sports, OKC Sports Radio with the Perry Broadcast Company every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 4 o'clock, and Monday and Friday sometimes at 9 o'clock.
All right. Yeah. Appreciate your time always. Love to have you on. And
Always fun.
Yep. We'll catch up with you. We'll catch up with you here in another month or two. So.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a great day. See
Thanks.
ya.
You too.
Later, man.
Oh,
I knew we were going to get an OG story,
I know.
man.
I know.
was
Yeah,
like,
that was awesome.
Port Robinson. It's really wild. Not just, the encyclopedia that he is.
Yes.
But how in different sports throughout history, we're talking like 50, 60, 80 years, OU has some of the best coaches in that sport in college football history. And then just the championships everywhere. It kind of just reminds you that OU was built on just championships, a champion standard. Right.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. Yeah.
Now I want to read this book. I want to read not this book, but there's this awesome article on Port Robinson and his. I mean, I'm a nerd. I've got Bud Wilkinson and Gomer Jones book, The Modern Defense. If you guys are wanting to learn a little bit about defense and history of OU, there's a good book, The Modern Defense of Football. You can check it out at the library down here in Norman. But it goes through how Bud Wilkinson and Gomar were sitting there trying to create a defense, and it's kind of wild some of the techniques that they were describing are the exact same techniques that we do today. So but yeah, that's a good one. I might need to learn more about Port Robinson now too, just for fun.
Yeah, no, he has a story about anything and everything.
Yeah,
and that's what makes him great at his job. That's what you want, right? You want someone that can add some color to whatever you're talking about, and he's so tuned in to everything OU sports.
Yeah,
anything and everything. I couldn't have his job and keep up with everything. So thank goodness for people like James. Anything else, Rob, we want to touch on today? I know Super Bowl's next Sunday, so
Seahawks are going to win.
Normally we have a dog in the fight. I'm on the same side.
I know.
I want Seahawks to win.
I'm a Chiefs fan.
Yeah.
This has been wild. I actually, being a Chiefs fan, jumped on to the Buffalo Bill bandwagon.
Sure.
We did our little pick 'em at work, and I actually wanted Bills on the way back. I ended up picking the Rams first.
You had to, because I took the Seahawks.
You did take the Hawks. I like the Rams. I like McVay. I think he's a freaking genius, and I like Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp, or not Cooper Kupp. Sorry, but yeah. In this Super Bowl, maybe I should root for the Patriots and hope Stevenson. We've got, I think, a streak now, Brad. 11 consecutive years
Super Bowl
with their
winners.
suitors. Super OU in a Super Bowl, which is pretty cool.
That is. Yep.
But I think the Hawks are going to get it. They're 8. I think the stat is the team with the best scoring defense is 8-1.
The last 9.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. Yeah, it may just come down to Darnold and Drake, which one goes out and actually performs well. At the end of the day, if Darnold throws out one of those Darnold stinkers, then all of a sudden we're talking about a football game. But if he goes and plays, he played really well last week against the Rams, but I feel like the Patriots defense is a little better than the Rams.
Yeah.
But he played really good.
Yeah, Patriots, if they win, they will have the record Super Bowl titles, breaking the tie with the Pittsburgh Steelers,
Yeah.
which is pretty wild. And then what is it? The Vrabel narrative could become the first person to win
Are they
Super
tied
Bowls
with
with a
Pittsburgh?
from what I
Are you sure
understand,
about that? I thought Pittsburgh had 5 and New England had 6. Is that wrong?
I have no idea. I thought
Yeah. No.
I don't know.
If you say so.
That's what I thought. I read it somewhere.
Yep.
Vrabel would be the first person to win Super Bowls with the Patriots as a player and a coach, so that would be interesting.
Yeah.
But with Darnold, I'm actually kind of surprised that resurgence that he's having in his career. But it's actually kind of made me think: has the wide receiver position increased in value? Because Darnold has always been a very average quarterback. But if you have a Jackson Smith-Njigba and a Cooper Kupp as your wide receivers, they kind of elevate the quarterback. I'm feeling like, and if you look around, look at like Julian Sayin and the year that he had, and he has Jeremiah Smith. Like you look at around, I feel like the wide receiver position is actually kind of elevating in positional value. I think they're starting to like make quarterbacks just be better if they can create separation and make an easy throw.
Sure. No, yeah, the game's changed quite a bit. And what's funny too is during these games with analytics and everything else, like teams will just go for it on the weirdest places because analytics says to go for it. On your own 40-yard line, whatever. It's 4th and 3, go for it. That never happened 10 years ago.
Yeah.
15 years ago.
It's all that AWS next gen stats, man. They got tablets that are like, go for it, coach. And he goes, go for it.
Yeah. And Detroit coach, his name escaping me right this second. He doesn't care. Like, I don't even know why they have a field goal kicker.
Yeah.
Because I think it just kills him to have to like kick a field goal. I don't know what it is, but yeah, some coaches are worse than others. It's quite funny. Like Jim Harbaugh, he's more old school, and I can tell. Like you can watch a game and tell a guy that's a little more traditional as opposed to the guy that just doesn't care. But yeah, there's a lot of differences. Anyway, so great show today. As always, bringing James on, man. We can just sit back, drink, and listen.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
So I want to make a bet with you. So we've got the Hawks.
You don't have a very good track record in doing that.
I do not. I am terrible. But as of right now, the Seattle Seahawks have a 4.5 point favorite over the Patriots.
Okay. I will take the Patriots.
God, no. I want the Patriots. I want the points.
You always do that to me. You like try to get me to take
get separated.
Because we like the same side whenever you throw that out. And then I throw a curveball at you that I want the same side you do. And I'm like, actually, no, give me the Seahawks. I'll give you whatever.
Burrito bet.
Burrito's fine.
Beer bet.
Sure.
Beer. Okay.
Yep.
There we go. Locked in.
I got the Hawks in 4.5. Is that what I heard?
Yes. That's what's
give me a
FanDuel.
Yeah, I don't know if I trust you. I might need to go check that.
We'll go. I can share.
I don't care.
Screen.
No, I'll give you 4.5. I don't care. This could honestly be like a 13-point win or something like that, and it wouldn't shock me.
Yeah. The concerning side on the Patriots is their left tackle, left guard, rookies. Will Campbell, starting left tackle, really good. Only gave up 3 sacks in his whole collegiate career. Gave up 1 to R. Mason Thomas.
Right.
But overall solid. It's the left guard spot and the interior. Seattle's defensive tackles, are studs.
Right. Yeah. No, that
Studs.
that Seattle
That's
front four looks legit.
Yeah, with Leonard Williams and Brian Murphy, that's like that's where a little issue. But Drake May is the better quarterback, so I'm taking the better quarterback. I'm taking I my feeling the better coaching staff, but Seattle's got the wide receivers and the front seven. So, but I'll take the points and hope that it's a close game.
Yeah, fair enough. No, I saw not so much with Stafford, but when Seattle played Frisco, I felt like Purdy was on the run 3 out of 4 plays.
Yeah.
He would take the snap and just run for his life.
Yeah.
It wasn't even a designed rollout, Rob. It was just like, oh crap, here they come again. I'm going to run for my life and hope someone comes over.
Seattle they don't pressure. They don't blitz often. And they don't have to because, you got DeMarcus Lawrence and Williams and Murphy and others like and what's cool, Seattle, and I'm not feeling so good about my bet, but they don't have a dominant stat guy on pass rush. Their sacks are even. Like they basically just take turns, and that tells me that offenses are taking something away, but they can't fix the other side, or they're sliding or man and big on big or whatever. Someone's losing over and over again. And
actually, what you want,
they just don't find an answer.
You want to be balanced like that.
You do, and that's what we talk about with the Sooners trying to find a complementary pass rush. I'd much rather have 3 or 4 guys that are solid than one dude that's elite, because you can always in the college game take one elite guy out. I'd much rather have 3 or 4 guys, and that's what Brent does with his pressure system. Is get multiple dudes involved all the time, and that's where he mixes the matches.
Yeah. When RMT was out, we had to do that. We were forced to find pressure from different places, and we did. So sometimes injuries suck, but they do allow you to adapt like that, and they didn't look like they missed a beat when RMT was out. So. Yeah. So we may have a Super Bowl show next Sunday.
Yeah, we can do Sunday
or Super Bowl preview or whenever it is. So we'll figure that out. It's that kind of year where you got to be creative a little bit with the podcast. We try to cover OU sports, but we know there's a lot of other stuff going on. So we try to incorporate that when we can.
Do we have any future guests coming on?
Yes, working on a couple. How's that?
Okay.
I don't want to throw something out that won't happen. But yeah, we have a few guests coming on, and we're going to try to bring in some other programs to the mix this coming year, which I think would be good for the show. So there's more to come on that as well.
I still need to do my tight end. I think we're gonna do on the Substack a revision. We finally did something in the tight end.
Right.
Bring on Jason Witten and the guys that are coming in. Been watching the film. I'll probably push some stuff to Substack.
Yep.
I really want to get JY and Alex to come on. I'll talk with them here in the next couple weeks, and then you can work on your angle. And then we'll hear maybe around mid-spring have Charlie come on. When we get into that spring practice mode, get a few weeks in, we want to have Charlie come on and give us the goods on what's going on.
Yeah. Nope. Hey, thanks everybody that joined us today. Had a ton of comments in the chat. Sorry, I'll blame it on Rob. Of being able to reply to everybody during the show. I kind of lose track of that stuff, especially when James is doing his storytelling. So appreciate it, everyone. And we will catch you soon. Thanks, everybody. Boomer.
That's my standard, my champion standard, pull away the answers, the champion standard, standard that I